By 1999, dial-up modems were screeching into households globally, and the internet was rapidly becoming a permanent fixture of daily life. Beneath the excitement of this emerging digital age, a quiet cultural anxiety was taking root, a lingering fear that our increasing reliance on technology might lead to a loss of human autonomy. The Matrix codified that anxiety, pairing the physics-bending gunplay of Hong Kong action with the paranoid skepticism of cyberpunk literature. It provided a visual language for the Y2K era, changing how action sequences were framed and how audiences discuss the nature of the web. We experience this world through Thomas Anderson. By day, he is an unassuming software programmer, sitting in a sterile corporate cubicle. By night, he lives a second life as a notorious hacker, operating under the alias Neo. He is exhausted and entirely uncertain of his own identity. He spends his nights chasing digital ghosts because he suffers from a persistent, gnawing sensation that something about his reality is structurally wrong. Neo's frustration is rooted in a specific observation. The world he sees doesn't match the truth he feels. He is a hacker because he is looking for the glitch, the proof that his cubicle, his city, and his life are part of a rigid system he never agreed to join. The turning point arrives with a cryptic message on a black screen: "Follow the white rabbit." This breadcrumb trail leads Neo out of isolation and directly into the path of Morpheus, a legendary hacker, and a man who claims to hold the answers Neo has been looking for. Morpheus offers a stark ultimatum. Neo can swallow a blue pill, wake up in his bed, and continue living his comfortable, simulated life. Or he can swallow a red pill, permanently severing his connection to the illusion, and face the brutal truth of the real world. This choice is a direct cinematic translation of Plato's allegory of the cave. Plato described prisoners chained in a cave, watching shadows on a wall, and accepting those shadows as reality. Taking the red pill is the literal act of breaking those chains and stepping outside into the blinding sunlight. It also draws heavily on the skepticism of 17th century philosopher René Descartes. Descartes famously argued that our senses are easily deceived, making it entirely possible that a malicious demon, or a hyper-advanced computer program, is tricking us into believing a dream is reality. The red pill acts as a physical ingestion of an ideology. Neo cannot simply agree with Morpheus in principle. He must swallow the pill, committing his physical body to the consequences of the truth. The consequence of that choice is visceral. Neo awakens, bald and emaciated, inside a pod filled with gelatinous fluid. He looks out to see endless towers of human beings, grown entirely to serve as living batteries for intelligent machines. Plato's cave is suddenly revealed as a vast biomechanical nightmare. This chart shows a comparison of the film's deliberate color palettes. On the left, the simulated world of the Matrix is tinted in a sickly, monochromatic green. On the right, the desert of the real outside the simulation is graded in stark, cold blues. Once rescued aboard the hovercraft Nebuchadnezzar, Neo is plugged into the Construct, a blank white loading program. Here, the crew bypasses traditional learning, downloading years of complex martial arts combat training directly into his brain in a matter of hours. To translate this to the screen, directors utilized wirework and complex Hong Kong action choreography, a style pioneered by filmmakers like John Woo. This culminates in the dojo fight and the first jump program. Morpheus easily bests Neo in combat, not because he is physically stronger, but because he understands the rules of the simulation can be bent. He challenges Neo to leap across a massive gap between two skyscrapers, a test solely of mental conviction. Neo falls. He spits blood in the real world, proving that the mind makes the simulation real to the body. Mastering the Matrix requires a psychological breakthrough, actively disbelieving the perceived rules of physics. Standing against this awakening is Agent Smith. He is the system's immune response, an embodiment of absolute determinism and rigid order. Smith views humans not as mammals, but as a destructive virus that the machines must cure. The crew also faces an internal threat from Cypher. Cypher strikes a deal with the machines to be reinserted back into the simulation, memory wiped. He represents the active choice to surrender to a comfortable illusion, because the truth is simply too painful to bear. Neo then meets the Oracle, a program designed to understand human psychology. In her waiting room, a young boy effortlessly bends a metal spoon with his mind. He explains the secret. You do not try to bend the spoon, as that is impossible. You must realize there is no spoon, and instead bend yourself. Immediately following this revelation, Cypher betrays the crew, and Morpheus is captured by the agents. Neo is suddenly trapped. The Oracle told him he would have to choose between his own life and the life of Morpheus. Knowing he is entering a heavily fortified building, Neo chooses to mount a rescue. By stepping into a suicide mission out of loyalty, he rejects absolute fate and actively asserts his own free will. Neo and Trinity assault the lobby of the building where Morpheus is held. Concrete pillars explode into dust to the pulse of heavy electronic music. The scene is a masterclass in sensory overload, perfectly matching the intensity of Neo fully accepting his role. On the rooftop, an agent fires directly at Neo, triggering the cinematic debut of bullet time. The camera moves at normal speed, while the action on screen slows to a crawl, showing Neo bending backward as bullets physically ripple the air above him. This visual technique serves a precise narrative purpose. We are finally watching Neo's mind out-process the simulation, reacting faster than the environment can render the threat. Neo is eventually shot and killed in the Matrix, but aboard the ship, Trinity whispers her absolute belief that he is the one. He resurrects, opens his eyes, and no longer sees a hallway or agents. He sees the cascading green source code of the simulation itself. He stops bullets in midair. His transformation is complete. Neo has achieved perfect alignment between his philosophical understanding of reality and the literal code governing his existence. The Wachowskis' integration of wire stunt choreography and digital rain aesthetics set a new standard for early 21st century media. Their influence moved from the screen directly into the mechanics of third-person shooters and the visual tone of modern science fiction. The film also hard-coded its vocabulary into the internet. To be red-pilled became a lasting cultural shorthand for waking up to a hidden, uncomfortable reality beneath the surface of everyday life. Decades later, as artificial intelligence rapidly scales, and Jean Baudrillard's theories on simulation feel uncomfortably plausible, the themes of the film are fiercely debated with renewed urgency. The Matrix remains a vital, interactive manual. It forces us to question the stability of our perception, challenges us to look closely at the systems controlling our lives, and reminds us that freedom begins the moment we make a choice.